am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, a.k.a. Downtown Nino Brown. Yes, sir. Welcome to another marvelous episode of Overreaction Monday. I am the governor of college football, and with me is a guy that needs no introduction, the mayor of college football downtown, Nino Brown. Also, a guy that pulls a lot of strings behind the scenes, D-Now, better known as Dennis Noel. How y'all doing, man? It's in the midst of all of this playoff crap this weekend, there was so much that happened in the world of college football that you just had to be there. You just had to be paying attention. I'm going to pass the mic to Nino, man. Let's kick this bad boy off, man.
All right, so we had some hot meat and potatoes of the show that we wanted to talk about, but I found two topics that I think we got to just start this off with. So, Urban Meyer recently on his podcast had new Michigan head coach, former Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham on, and they were talking about former 5-star QB1 of the 25 class, Bryce Underwood, and his development, and Maya was talking about how, a kid has all the traits, but what happened with the development, what slowed the development. And Whittingham dropped this bomb. I damn near fell out of my chair. They did not have a QB coach designated to him on a daily basis at Michigan last year. Now, before I get your two thoughts, I told you, KT, that this guy was a clown and a puppet 2 years ago, and it's all come to fruition now. But how do you let this happen? How does a 5-star kid, QB1 in the class, the kid that you just paid a handsome amount to get him to flip from LSU, how does he not have a QB coach?
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's one of those things where you look at Michigan, you can't tell a story of college football without Michigan. Like, what type of they were running amok in Ann Arbor. Like, I don't understand how a kid who's a freshman, it's important for that freshman to have a big vet. I'm going in the portal and get a guy like, hey, listen, your NFL thing may be gone, but I think you can lead this guy. I want you to make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing week in, week out. Follow him around, and you guarantee that guy, hey, you can join the coaching staff as a graduate assistant after this year, but I need you to be monitoring this kid 24/7 and make sure he's making the right decisions. On top of that, he needs to have a quarterback coach. He needs to have somebody that's holding him accountable, because sometimes they only show on television, and we get to see it because we're live at these games and we're in the press box and on the field. But, there has to be that accountability. I had that issue with Billy Napier and DJ Lagway down in Gainesville. It just seems to be a lack of accountability, whereas you go to Louisville, Jeff Brom is always the example I use. Miller Moss almost threw an interception, and he cussed them out for 5 minutes. Like, you need the quarterback coach. He needed a big vet, and then you look at everything that happened with their head coach, who's an effing clown, to be honest with you. And sorry for everybody who's listening. Him and Mel Tucker, he can catch a stray as well. But no quarterback coach. Where's that development? Who's going over the tablet with him? Hey, this was open, that was open. I know you guys like to run a ball back. F that. That kid came to your school. You robbed him out of a year of quality football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree. D-Now, talk to me. What are your thoughts here? Like, KT's talked about, just a kid coming in, but, the development. Like, not just, he's supposed to grow, not even just accountability. The X's and O's. He's 18 years old. Some of these kids coming at 17, right?
And they don't have real play. They don't have real playback in high school. Maybe about 50 plays.
None of this stuff. Yeah, right. Exactly. You want to run 55, 60 plays in an offense in one game. The kid's sitting there dumbfounded. And then they wonder why they struggle for a couple weeks. Tell me how this set him back, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. So like KT was saying, he did kind of have that veteran though. Mikey Keene, I think, was a solid guy he could have leaned on. Just help him with the X's and O's. But, a school like this, not having a quarterbacks coach, it makes you wonder what other positions they were kind of light on too. Because Michigan took a steep step back last year. So it's 100%. Did they have a DB coach? Or was it one guy just coaching all 4 positions? Or did they have a safety coach? Did they have a corners coach sort of thing? You get Portnoy throwing a bag at him to come to Michigan. You got to do whatever you got to do. Sign the janitor for all I care to help progress as a quarterback and help your football team. So when you just dropped this on me before we went live, I was like, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. How a school like Michigan doesn't have a quarterback coach.
Yeah. Later on in the podcast, he said that there was another quarterbacks coach there as well to help with development, but they brought in Coy Detmer, who, like, he may not have been a stud, but he was kind of a quarterback that was ahead of his time. He was more of a mobile dual threat kind of quarterback. He moved the pocket, you know what I mean? So I think, his development we're going to see leaps and bounds. And the fact that what we saw on Bryce Underwood kind of like the last 3 to 4 games down the stretch here where we started to expand, he started running. It speaks volumes for the kid himself with no leadership and no guidance. Yeah, Mikey Keene can guide him a little bit, but Mikey Keene's still a kid. He's 22. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of a travesty on the Michigan program, and just put another one up there on the belt of just stupidness out of the Michigan. For the last 5-6 years, that's all we've been seeing. And again, they're lucky the kid stood there. I really thought he was gone. I thought with everything that went on, I thought he was out of there. But I guess that also speaks more volumes. It's not just about a bag for him.
To me, when you have an offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach like a Graham Harrell, who's a quarterback, they understand, like a Tino Cesare, terrible year this year, but they understand what it means to play the position at this level, and they can speak to you, and sometimes in ways your head coach, who didn't play that position at that level, or didn't even play at that level, in all honesty, they can understand what you go through, and that is so pivotal, and it's frustrating that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was dumbfounded. I knew we had to talk about this, so I had to bring it in. Now, let's talk about another topic that's kind of taken, the college football wave by storm. It's the status of Ole Miss QB Trinidad Chambliss. Is he going to be able to play? Is he going to get that the extra year of eligibility? Now, from what I'm hearing, his attorney Tom Mars is leaning towards they're going to win this injunction that he filed after they were denied it. I know you spoke, in the state of Mississippi, they're probably going to take that down. But it all falls on kind of like some legality in the words, like how it was portrayed. Apparently, Chambliss in one of his seasons at Ferris State had chronic tonsillitis, which led to some heart palpitations and stuff. But they didn't word it as a medical red shirt. They just came in as a red shirt. So I don't know if it's going to be a technicality on how it was written up, but from what I'm reading right now, it's looking like a 65-35 that he's probably going to be back at Ole Miss. And you know me, I love stirring the pot. I'm pretty sure another, big star, recruit quarterback from Auburn just, committed to Ole Miss, thinking that he's going to be the guy in Deuce Knight. And what we saw out of him in the one game he played, for Auburn this year was, I think, 6 total touchdowns. So what happens to Deuce? This will be the latter end of the question. If, Trinidad does get that year, and do you guys think, that he will get that year and come back for Ole Miss? Dean, I will start with you on this
one. I think he will end up getting the year. I think there's too much precedence to not give him the extra year. And I mean, I've said it before, if he does get the year, watch out, because I think he's going to be even better next year if he does. As for Deuce, I mean, KT said it before we started that he thinks he flips right away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do see that as the way he goes, but I would like to see him stay because I think his game pairs or mirrors Trinidad so well that if he's got to take Dante Moore sort of season sitting behind the guy one last time,
that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I mean, look at the
Arch did it.
Arch did it, and now Dante and Arch are all about to be top guys if they come out their years. So, I mean, sure, everyone wants to improve their draft stocks, but sometimes learning is the better course of action than being on the field right away. So, I would like him to stay in Ole Miss if Trinidad does win. Unfortunately, in 2026, I see him transferring.
KT, before you give me your answer, let me be the guy to stir the pot again. We're all here for one of those, we all live by the strike while the iron is hot. Correct. I mean, even in a loss in the playoff, he was performing. He was electric, and he put up numbers. And will you be able to mirror that or take a step up next year? Or is there a possibility of an injury? A new offensive scheme is going to be kind of welded in there with new players. I know Kawan Lacey is supposed to be returning. I think that's kind of 50-50 still. I don't trust it till the portal's closed. But Stripling's going to the NFL, right? Wallace will return for one more year, but there's a lot of moving parts on that offense. You're going to be, I think you're losing 2 offensive linemen up front. So is it beneficial, even if he does win, is it beneficial for him to stay or should he go to the NFL? Because I think if Moore was to stay,
he'd be QB2.
I think he gives Mendoza a real good shot, for this QB1. I mean, obviously Mendoza's going, but like being a first-round pick into that shambles. So what are your thoughts on, do you think he win? And is it beneficial for him to actually, take the victory? Sometimes, taking the L's is beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, that was my exact thoughts. Like, losing this thing wouldn't be so bad. You would declare for the NFL. We know NFL has an age discrimination. It's one of those things that's kind of put under the thing. Once you're a certain age, you start to get viewed upon as Van Wilder. I have a couple schools of thought. My first school of thought is this. The NCAA, Charlie Baker, you guys suck. Y'all don't like college football. We didn't do that. F y'all, bro. Like, that's how I feel about that. Second of all is this. My 2 favorite TV shows were The Wire, took place in Baltimore. The other one was The Heat of the Night, which took place in Sparta, Mississippi. And watching that TV show, and of course it's cinema and it's TV, but some of those things I think still apply to the state of Mississippi. And there's no way that they lose that case in the state of Mississippi. But to Nino's point, strike you while the iron's hot. Like, you had a damn good playoff. You made some incredible throws, especially that Georgia game. Some of them slot fades he threw was just absolutely incredible. And then to the Deuce Knight situation, D-Now said it so great. You said it great as well, Nino. I don't think sitting and learning for a year is bad at all. But until we know the thing with this Trinidad situation, I think it's a win-win for Deuce Knight. Hey, either sit for a year. He still has redshirt eligibility.
Yeah, he's redshirt. Yep.
He redshirted. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing with Trinidad Shamblers, they probably violated so many HIPAA compliances by sending the NCAA all of his medical information, from that year that he had the medical, that he should have received a medical red shirt. And the fact that they didn't approve it, to me, is just like, y'all really don't care about college football. I think the NCAA's issue with the college football is that it's no holds barred. It's like the Wild Wild West, and this is not what they wanted, so they do stuff like that. What was the kid at North Carolina they did it to a couple of years ago?
He plays for Baltimore, Tez Walker.
Walker, yeah.
Yeah,
they
gave
well, so.
like 6 games left in the season. He was able to play,
right. But they probably hurt his stock.
100%. 100%. He went like at second round, right?
Yeah, and I think was it the Senior Bowl that helped his status?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I missed that year. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a win-win for Deuce Knight. I think it's a win-win for Trinidad Shamblers. Losing in court wouldn't be such a bad thing. I'm not certain why he would want to go back, but he would be a favorite, probably one of the favorites for a Heisman and stuff like that. And it's a different team. Players are leaving. I just don't know.
He already committed to Ole Miss, like saying he was coming back, and he talked about like he thought about going to follow lane and going to LSU, but he said that Ole Miss had been so good to him that that's where he wanted to be. It's just like we've seen guys like Anthony Richardson go to the Underwear Olympics, to quote our boy Coach, right? Go to the Underwear Olympics, dude, and just skyrocket. This kid's whole profile fits the modern day NFL, right? Like he's what everybody wanted Kyler Murray to be.
Absolutely.
The bigger version. He is that's him. And I don't know why you would take the chance. Oh, you blow an ACL? See ya, buddy. You take a step back. Maybe you go in the 3rd round. Right now, you're fighting for a top 35 slot.
Right.
And with Dante Moore maybe on the fence and not coming back, the Jets and I'm not saying it's dumb on his part, but the Jets are dumb enough to make that move and take him at 2 if he was the second best quarterback on the board, not knowing when they would get another quarterback.
I was going to say, I was going to make a subtle plug to tomorrow and see if is someone going to take him in the 1st round? You think he's a 1st-round quarterback?
I don't know if he's a first-round quarterback. Because
I think he is if he goes to like senior
as of right now, he's probably fighting for QB3, right? We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I would agree with it. And Brian Bosar said
I'm assuming like Moore is coming
out. So
out.
who's 2 for you?
Oh, I'm assuming
Fernando
or
Mendoza, then Simpson?
Yeah. No, I'm assuming Dante Moore comes out.
Oh, yeah. If Dante Moore stays, he needs to go.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing: is 3 young concrete, their linebacker, a safety, all said they're coming back.
Yeah.
which makes me think he's coming back. And the fact, which will lead to a little bit, is the gentleman we're about to talk to, talk about in a little bit in the show, is willing to sit if he has to, which means that's still on the table. Makes me think he's coming back. I'm hearing there are schools, as though Ty Simpson has declared for the NFL draft, that are offering him $5.6 million next season to come to their school. If Tennessee can't get Sammy Leavitt, they are throwing the bricks truck at Ty Simpson.
Y'all heard that too?
To get him out of the draft and get him into Knoxville. Listen, we're going to talk about another situation I think is gross, but we've seen it happen where people have gone in, gone out. I'm going here, I'm not going there.
Cam Ward did it a few years ago.
So
Tennessee with Simpson would be a terrible move. Just straight up. I think it'd be a terrible move.
I think the kid that we're going to talk about in a second is a very good chance that he could be in Knoxville, but it might be better for him in Knoxville. But yeah, I don't know. I think that there's a good chance that Trinidad Chambliss, after a combine and a pro day with his numbers and what he can do, dude. Do we remember Zach Wilson, people? Like, what do you think people, these GMs and offensive OCs are gonna go when they see this kid, in pro day and shorts and a tank top, firing the ball downfield and what is his numbers and measures?
He's such a good kid too, man. Like deep in prayer, loyal. I mean, GMs will fall in love with, bro.
Yeah, I'm not sure that even if he wins, it's a smart idea for him to come back. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this. Lane Kiffin's got us, guy, and earlier this morning, he said, "You guys get ready because this is what all you've been waiting for." He got Sammy Leavitt, Arizona State QB, to commit to LSU. We'll kind of get into that in a second. He was able to make Caden Durham withdraw from the portal, so he's coming back as well. It's very interesting. What they got going on here. So the Sammy Leavitt situation, before I get your thoughts, I just want to touch on. He was there for a few days. He was there while Damon Williams had announced he was hitting the transfer portal because, lack of a better word, Lane Kiffin wanted to have a meeting with him, and I think that was supposed to be his guy. And then, Sammy Leavitt left and was supposed to go to Miami. I think he also met in Kentucky along the way, somewhere in there in his travels. But he ultimately ended up, committing to LSU. But a day ago, we also had former Elon quarterback, Landon Clark, who I talked to KT in the green room about. He is like a same type as a Sammy Leavitt. He fits that mold. So whether he's only a sophomore, I believe, or was it right?
He'll be a sophomore.
Yeah, he'll be a sophomore. So there's that situation. Before we break down last year and the year before and what we thought about his game and everything, some of the things that I dug into about this commitment that I read, he's getting about $4.5 million. That's his NIL deal. They only offered Damon Williams a little over $2 million. So that is mind blowing to me in that situation. And but there's a clause in the NIL deal. There's no basketball playing whatsoever. They don't want any of that. Obviously, basketball injury kind of threw him off Arizona State last season. But there's the rumor of he could be going to Tennessee. So I don't know. He's supposed to be meeting with Tennessee, even though he's committed to LSU, which is kind of odd. So what are your thoughts on initial signing before we break down, the 2 seasons of Sammy Leavitt and what do you think he could be at LSU? KT, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on what I talked to you about this contract, this possible hidden clause, the whole rigmarole, the other quarterback coming in there? They also signed, I think they have a third quarterback that they signed, so they have 3 quarterbacks now. But what are your thoughts on this before we get into the whole breakdown?
I know you and Jake Crane have spoke on this, saying we should never be worried about Lane Kiffin and the offense and the quarterback. And, I think about the Matt Corrals, the Jackson Darts. I mean, even Luke Altmaier spent some time with him. And we've seen it this year with Austin Simmons in a limited time he played, as well as Trinidad Chambliss. I think once you look at that, you have a good thing. And then we're at a weird stage in college football. Like, I know that DJ Lagway was committed to Baylor and said aloud he was committed to Baylor, but also went on a visit to Memphis. I'm sorry, to Ole Miss.
Right.
I don't understand that. Like, if you commit to a place, why are you still taking visits? Like, that's like committing to a marriage. But still,
Going on a couple dates.
Yeah, still going on a couple dates to make sure this thing is right. So, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack here. Is he ready for the accountability piece? You know, like, we know Kenny Dillingham is wired, and we know that Kenny Dillingham sometimes will use the media to get to you. Lane Kiffin ain't using the media to get to you. Lane Kiffin is going to you to get to you. So to me, it is a lot of things, and I don't think Sam Leavitt ultimately ends up here. The no basketball clause. You know, we got to remember these guys are 21, 22 years old. Like, how many times at that age, you know, your parents give you advice, you say, yeah, okay, and do the exact opposite. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think when you look at it from that perspective, I think he probably does end up in Tennessee, because is he ready for that accountability? That, you know, it's not for everybody. You can't coach everybody the same way. But with Lane Kiffin, you know, he's going to want you to play at a high rate. He's going to want you to run that offense at a tempo. He's going to want you to be locked in and focused. Is Sam Leavitt going to be able to do that? That's my only question.
Oh, accountability. It's funny you mentioned accountability. He, from what I've seen and what from these interviews and what I've read, he kind of dodged any Kentucky questions that they asked him about when there was mid-season conversations that they were saying this year that he had with Kentucky.
Yeah, these players have coaches from other schools in their DMs the entire season. We all know.
Accountability. So, yeah, you were injured this year, and we'll get to that in a minute. But in the midst of everything, you just decided to not attend your end of the year team banquet. Why? Because you didn't want to face some accountability questions, or maybe, you know, you decided to do outside activities which cost you and your school. You know,
that's selfish, bro.
So I don't know if he's ready for, you know, the accountability. And again, you know, we look at, you know, professionals that have clauses in their contracts for playing video games, and and I know it's stupid, but it's a thing. It's a thing, and they kind of never live up to the expectation, right? Sammy Leavitt kind of fits that Trinidad Shambles mold, right? He's that mobile quarterback off platform. We saw what he could do at Arizona State. Obviously, a year ago, they had that great run with Cam Scatterboo, you know, and Jordan Tyson, you know, just taking off. Now, yes, he did lose pieces. Cam Scatterboo went to the NFL, but they got Malik Brown. People are going to say, yeah, Malik Brown, he had 1,400 yards or whatever it was. It was 1,100 yards. But he only found the end zone twice, and he was not a receiving threat. So, yes, it doesn't equal out to help out Sammy Leavitt. Obviously, the injury didn't help. Dino, he only played 7 games, right? Last year, he played 13. And we've kind of talked about how we thought it was more of a down year for Sammy Leavitt this year, right? Now, if I extrapolate to what would be a 13-game season,
great word, brother.
He thank you. He looks to be, he'd have 400 pass attempts this season instead of 350 that he had in the year that they were in the top 25. He would have almost 400 more passing yards in a season when we thought he was kind of off with the deep ball, right? He would have a little less touchdowns. It'd be 20 to 6 interceptions. But he had 6 interceptions the previous year, but he had 24 touchdowns. So it would be off a little bit on the passing touchdowns. He would damn near double his rushing total, right? He had 5 total rushing touchdowns this year in 7 games. He had 5 total the previous season. So he would have, even if he didn't get 10, say 8. That's a huge uptick. He would have been sacked 40 times. He was only sacked 19 times the previous year. So what we don't see, or people don't take into consideration, is there was a huge loss in the backfield. There was a huge loss up front on that line, right? And Jordan Tyson missed 4 games, which I think Sammy Leavitt was quarterback either 2 or 3 of those games. So those things matter. In the pressure, this is why I say I thought he was dead nuts the exact same completion pressures when it came to the bullets flying at him. So maybe, and I hate to say this because I try not to be this way, but maybe sometimes the media makes it makes us think a different way. Even though we watch the games, right? Because I watch a lot of games. I know you guys watch a lot of games. We watch a lot of film. But when you sit down and break it down, and then you go back and look at it, he really didn't have as bad of a season as we thought he did. And for them to be where they were, or him to be where he was, through the injury, through 7 games, I'm very impressed with what he did. Now you want to talk about outside of the performance, being your quarterback, you're supposed to be that leader, right? We shouldn't be having these questions. LSU. I know we've seen Jaden Daniels go from Arizona State to LSU. I think he was more of a quiet, reserved human being. I don't think he was more of that. For a kid that said that he almost didn't transfer to Arizona State from Michigan State because it's one of the number 1 party schools, well, I'm going to go with LSU's. You didn't see that interview.
No.
You can Google that. That's out there.
Crazy.
Okay. That was him. He said that to, I think, Rich Eisen in an interview, that he almost didn't transfer to Arizona State because it was a top party school. LSU's probably a couple schools behind now, homie. Yeah. And you've got some baggage with you now. So is this really the best spot for him, Dino? And
that's a great question.
Yes, Lane Kiffin and Sammy Leavitt could be fireworks and all butterflies and rainbows. But it also could be 2 guys that just can't put their cojones to the side, their egos aside to get along. Lane's going to want to prove something in year 1.
Absolutely.
Is Sammy going to want to be able to check whatever he's got to check to make sure he gets his stock up and rebound? I don't know. Is this the best fit for Sammy Leavitt? And do you think that he didn't have as bad of a season as we kind of thought this year?
So I'm going to start on the stats aspect first. Great poll, by the way, pulling all those numbers. If he had actually had a season like that, well, I'm going to back up a little bit. Before this season, he came in as the top 5 quarterback in all of college football.
100%.
Had he had that season,
right there,
we would be talking about, is he fighting for potentially QB1, QB2, QB3 this spring?
Those discussions were had in the preseason.
Facts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, there could have been a serious argument. He was sitting in the front row in New York with Dante Moore, with Mendoza, all them guys. So, yeah, had that come out, would have squashed all the bugs right there. With Lane, that is kind of a Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing right there. He did. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde because if he can get Sammy back to Sammy, watch out. I think LSU is going to be freaking electric. But that's the big if Sammy can be mature enough to handle Lane Kiffin. And we touched a little bit on the Elon guy. I'm stoked that they got him. I mean, he's setting him up for not only this year, a couple years down the road.
Yeah.
But what's even scarier, and I don't know if you guys saw this, Longstreet's visiting as well.
No, I didn't.
So does a big name recruit like that also kind of light that fire under Sammy, or does it be like, oh shit, here comes another big name that I got to compete with all the 2. Let me run to school number 4 real quick, or whatever it'll be. But with that, I'm not a fan of him in Tennessee. I don't think his game fits with the veer and shoot sort of thing that Heupel likes to run. If it was me, I would go down to Miami, but I mean, that's opening up another whole can of worms, party school wise, like you had talked about.
He was supposed to go there. He went there to visit, and they let him leave.
I know.
I'm surprised he didn't go there.
So you mentioned Longstreet. You know, the next stop after LSU is Miami, right?
Yeah.
That's the fit, dude. That's him on the Cristobal's offense with that run game and that. The way Longstreet likes to play, you need that type of defense.
Right.
That's
I mean, he'd get that same kind of defense, though, in LSU, I think.
He could. He could, but it's there already. It's You're losing the 2 guys up front.
Now.
You're losing the 2 guys up front. I get it, but there's still some dogs on that defense. You know what I mean?
That's nasty. Bo
Mhm.
Prabula. That's oof.
Well, it's Virginia. I like that. So another point is Arizona State's, and now this doesn't sound like much, but Arizona State's let up 2.3 points per game more this season than last season. So there
That's
are
a
a
hell of
lot
a
of
stat.
factors as to why, and Kenny Dillingham, I think, kind of was a little more exasperated this year than he had been in previous years at Arizona State because he was very talkative to the media early. Like we talk, well, someone's got to be shitty, and why not us? Why not let it be? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think Sammy Leavitt could have success, but I think we're looking at, I don't want to keep beating the Kyler Murray horse, but you're looking at a guy that you got to have to fight. Someone's got to make sure he's doing the right thing. Somebody's got to make sure,
If he wasn't willing to do the right thing under a likable coach like Kenny,
That's a
what
good
is he
point.
going to do with a coach that's
That's
up
a
his
great
ass
point. That is a
24/7 like Lane?
fantastic point.
Dino, you ready for this? I got one name, and we saw what happened. Quinshawn Judkins. You butted heads with Lane. You went to a different school.
Yeah. What was the kid that was making up all these excuses, mental health, and Lane Kiffin was not having it at all.
the
You go
receiver.
play another school.
Yeah,
You was a
yeah,
lineman or
yeah.
something. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, ripped
yeah.
into him. But that's how that's what you
He's
get.
just straight up and down. That's why I understand why people don't like him, young. Like I'm like, he's just straight up and down. Is this gonna get as a head coach? You're gonna know where you stand with him, bro. You don't gotta guess none of that.
Oh yeah, he doesn't pull any
Oh
punches.
no,
Like,
there's no. Oh, I
if
don't
you're
know
an
if he
ass,
likes me or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Right.
know, or you don't know.
Like it's almost similar to the Tennessee thing where they knew that Nico was going to be an issue before the spring. Because he threatened to hold out of the college football
Right,
playoffs. You
right.
should have got rid of him then. Just like
all
Lane
year,
wasn't
though, his
doing another
dad.
year with Judkins. Yep.
All right, let's get into another splash back into the portal again. Another big giant in the portal, Dylan Raiola. Will rumblings that he could be, going to visit Eugene, Dan Lanning in Oregon. And he announced today, last night, whatever it was, that he is committed to Oregon. Even if he has to sit a year, if Dante Moore does return.
Is
So
that
I look at-
absolute though?
You remember I said to you a couple weeks ago that if this kid could just check the ego, check
I
the
do remember
ego
that.
and go. I think him saying this is him beginning to check the
Check the
ego.
ego.
The people in his circle are starting to say, homie, you have the talent. You can be good, but you got to put all the shit to the side.
Yeah, and these are NFL guys in the circle, former NFL guys.
Yeah,
in the circle,
so- But I'm going to start with Dino here before we get into his stats and all of that other stuff. Why do when I look at this, right, do I think, and I hate to say this, right, and I feel like it's going to fill in that role. He's 6'3", he's 230, so he's a little bit bigger than him. But why do I look at him as a bigger Dylan Gabriel? No, you can't. No, if we just closed our eyes and never saw any of the Cleveland Browns.
I was going to say, you're talking to an Ohio guy right
No,
now.
I'm just
You're
saying.
Dylan
In college
Gabriel.
football, you talk about a kid who's could throw the deep ball, right? He moves around well off platform.
Yeah.
But he's not going to run the ball. Not going to. I mean, Dylan Gabriel had like 300 yards in his best season running the ball. Dylan Raiola has negative yards 2 years back to back. Like he's not a runner, but
Nah,
they are
he's
mobile
not.
enough to move the pocket and change the platform. But he just reminds me of just a bigger Dylan Gabriel, and
I can see it.
I just don't know if everything we read and saw and all the hype, like kind of like this gentleman that kind of fell off the face of the map in Jackson Arnold, like he has the same, supposed to have the same, big arm, can throw the big ball. I don't know. He's, again, if you extrapolate it again, Dylan Raiola's full season, we would have been talking about him into this, wow category. Probably one of the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
100%.
But for me, it's the traveling man, Dino. Well, you've been on this train for a long time. Hooty-hoo! Dude, you went to 3, maybe 4 different high schools.
4 high schools.
Okay. He committed to Ohio State. Then he decommitted to Ohio State, went to Nebraska for 2 years, and now he's going to Oregon. Then you say you're willing to sit. But your past doesn't make it seem like you're willing to do any of that. So this is where, I don't know, is it I'm growing up and I'm checking the ego and I'm realizing I got to do this for my career. If I want to be a professional football player and I want to be, a top 30 pick, I got to check the ego. I got to stop, playing these games and maybe going to Oregon as a school, right? You got to go, to change that. But I mean, he is kind of getting an upgrade, right? Like if he does become quarterback one there in 2026, you're going from Nysia Hunter, Jacarni Barnes, and Dane Keita, Evan Stewart, Jeremiah McClellan, and Decorian Moore, dude. I mean, that's a totally different group of receivers, dude. In an offense that's going to be running. Well, I don't know what it's going to run. I don't know what they're going to be running because when Stein was there, you were looking at running somewhere between 50 to 60 plays per game. That's
hilarious, right? Boomer.
And people won't want to say they turn into check down Charlies. I don't know. It's different. Show me an offense, right? Because Pat Mahomes turns into check down Charlie in that offense when he has to. Show me an offense that runs 60 plays a game that's just chucking the ball downfield the whole time, because it doesn't happen. It's not feasible. In the offense, if Dylan Raiola can check the attitude in this offense before we break down the last 2 seasons, can he excel? Could we see the same step forward in progression like we did with Bo Nix, like we did with Dylan Gabriel, and like we saw this year with Dante Moore? Or could the Will Stein loss be monumental here?
I mean, it's the obvious thing is going to be who's going to replace. Are they keeping a guy from within under Will Stein to become the new OC? Because if that's possible, I don't think the drop-off is going to be as steep as if they bring a completely new outside guy in. But at the same time, this would be 4 high schools, technically 4 colleges, because he had a little brief commitment with Georgia too. So,
UGA. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully this is him taking that step, like you said. And honestly, for his case, it's kind of like the Deuce Knight sort of thing. He should be hoping Dante Moore comes back. He needs that year, I think, to fully grasp whatever offense they're going to install. Maybe also potentially hit the weight room a little bit better, get in a little bit better shape, because a huge knock against him was he's a hefty-looking quarterback. So there is that, like, get a quarterback's body sort of thing instead of a fullback. And then,
especially when it doesn't run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh Allen can have the chunky butt, dude, but he runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be a completely if he was mobile, but he's just sitting there. But the only downside to that is you're potentially going to lose a guy like Stewart, a year with Stewart, which could help him being a veteran college wide receiver. But at the same time, he would have more, as at that point he'd be a junior. So he would also have enough reps. And with obviously Dan Lanning being a stud at recruiting. But like I said, he should be hoping Dante Moore comes back, because I think he needs that year of sitting like Dante had. And look at what it did to him. When he was leaving UCLA, a lot of people were writing him off.
It was bad.
Like, that whole recruiting class was bad at that point. And him taking that year behind, just sitting and learning, elevated his stock 10 times. So I think he needs the year sitting.
So before I get into KT, let's talk a little bit about the comparison in seasons. Like we said, if he would have extrapolated and played a full year, we would have talked about this. What's that?
I said he still would have lost to Iowa.
No, he probably
he would have lost.
Don't get me wrong. You're probably right. But, I mean, we're looking at a kid that he was on a Drake May pace right now. I mean, he was at like almost 73% completion for the season. That up from 67 last year. That's a huge jump, right?
Huge jump.
He was already at 18 touchdowns compared to 13 on a full season. So you're looking at probably doubling that by the end of the year. But see, the thing for me is he got worse under pressure. Like considerably worse. Like you went from 52% to 46% under pressure this year. And although the numbers went up, I'm a little concerned that the success of Emmett Johnson helped him be able to have more time to throw the ball, because you had a top tier running back who defense had to stay home and be honest on, because you never knew if he was going to get the ball, if he was going to get the ball on a screen or whatever it was. This kid was a force for Nebraska. So for all the the greens and the positives that we like to see in his game, big arm, off-platform throws, leadership, right? Commitment, red flag for me. Attitude, red flag. Can he adjust to that? Is this going to be the first time where your family member's not around, right? Your uncle's gone. You got fired. Is that why you left? Because now you don't have your comfortability and family around?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you taking that step to kind of, I would like, to be challenged and take the criticism, to constructive criticism, to go on and take that and move and better myself? Or am I just going to be, keep this, stereotype of the Patrick Mahomes wannabe? So, because I think, it looks like Oregon's going to go with Drew Meringer, right? The tight ends coach as the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the success that they've had with tight ends over the past 3 to 4 years, I mean, hey, I think we're going to be going in the right direction with their offense.
They'll keep the system intact.
Yeah, they'll have that Will Stein type of offense.
Yeah.
He's been with Will for the last 3 years as well. So it's there. He'll put his spin on it, right? And we've seen this, like we said, the success that all these tight ends have had in Oregon's scheme. Is he willing? Put a hole in the belt, and humble himself, tighten it up a little bit, and go to work. And I think if you can, I think Matt Rule was a little bit too elusive a coach, right? I don't know if Matt Rule holds everybody nowadays for the same accountability. Maybe he held himself earlier at Temple in those days. So
he's worried about Penn State while he's in Lincoln.
I love Penn State. No, you don't say that when you're the coach in Nebraska. That's just not something that you say.
Right. And they're one of your competitors inside of your conference.
Yeah, the same conference. So yeah, I'm with you there. But KT, is Dylan Raiola Everton that the hype was built up around him, and can we see him possibly take that next step for Oregon? And if he is QB1 for Oregon next year and Dante Moore goes to the NFL, this Oregon's trajectory stayed the same with Raiola at quarterback.
I think culture builds champions, and you said it earlier. We saw it with Bo Nix. Think about Bo Nix freshman season, how successful he was, and then Mike Bobo takes over with Warren Harsin as offensive coordinator, and then we saw the decline in year 2, and it was a complete mess. And we saw Cadillac Williams come on at the end of the year, and they had a little bit of success. We didn't know how that was going to work out, and then we seen the same thing with Dylan Gabriel. He did have Oklahoma playing pretty well in Norman, but it took a next step up. And, when you look at motivators in college football, the best motivator in college football is Dan Lanning. His way to use all of these parallels, these old stories, the warrior-type mentality, I think it just works. And Dante Moore, D-Now said it earlier, when you think about Dante Moore, UCLA, I think about his grandmother. I appreciate that, brother. I think about his grandmother giving Chip Kelly the business, and she was 100% correct by everything she said about Chip Kelly. I think with Dylan Raiola, I think even if he started next year, it'll be instant success because of the culture that Dan Lanning and company provide. It's that motivating piece. I think it's the one-on-one time. I just think Dan Lanning spends more time with his players than most. I think he gets to know his players more than most. You just see the heart of that team. Pons, that had the pick six,
of Indiana.
First play of the game. You saw the coach went and found him and gave him that ball. That's
Oregon.
culture.
Yep.
That's culture right there. And I think this culture will be perfect for him because he'll see other guys at elite levels doing what they're supposed to do day in and day out. And not saying you couldn't get that in Lincoln. Oh, you would 100% get that in Eugene. I think that's the difference. That I think that culture, that breeds champions, I don't know. I think it just works.
I don't think the little kid mentality is going to work with Mateo Ugalele. I think he's going to check. Young Concrete will check that.
Yeah.
Listen, homie, this is how we work here. If you can't get it, then you can go somewhere else if you need to. So I think it's a fit.
Yeah, me too.
I think the attributes of what we think that Dylan Raiola could be, what we've kind of seen a little bit, you plug that into the metric of what Oregon puts out in the product that comes in and gets spit out. I think Dylan Raiola could probably have a career year, and we're looking at possibly talking about him as QB1 for the following year's draft.
1,000%.
I'm gonna pump the brakes on QB1 and
I
27 draft.
I think he was talking about 28.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant
not 1 year, not
he's
1
talking
year and
about-
done.
I
was saying have a great year, and then possibly be looking at coming in 2020 as the QB1
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
out the rip. No, I mean, just
I was like, 27's a little stacked for him.
no. I'm not. Come on, I'm not that crazy. I throw out hot takes, but not that hot. All right, let's get into a couple guys in the portal. Some just quirky things that kind of throw me for a loop here. And then we'll talk about the guy that I want to talk a little bit more in depth about at the end, but we'll get to it. Guy recently just signed Noah Rogers. Originally was at Ohio State, didn't get any playing time there. Obviously they've been stacked for a while, so we've seen 100%. It happen. He transferred to NC State, had a really good year this year. Was the dude for them as wide receiver 1. He now commits to Alabama. You look at it, 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver with sub 4.5. It's probably high 4.4 speed, so he has that. He can go up and get the ball. He's a contested catch guy. You're going to put him now paired with Keelan Russell as your quarterback, Ryan Williams on the outside, and a lot of people forget about him because he got injured. Derek Meadows, and he was a top 3, wide receiver in that class. It's flipped from LSU. That looks like a pretty strong group right there. So you lost Isaiah Horton and Bernard to the draft, but you're bringing in Noah Rogers, big body guy outside who was a highly recruited guy at Ohio State. Like Hotline loved this kid. He just couldn't crack it, just like how it took Tate a little bit to crack the code. So I think this is a hit for Alabama. I think this is kind of an under the radar hit, just kind of how Horton was. Didn't even really know how Horton was going to be for Alabama this year. Dude hit. I think
Jeremy Bernard had an outstanding season too.
I think you're going to see the emergence of Noah Rogers, and we're going to start saying, "Oh, okay, this is what the talk was about him coming into Ohio State." What are your thoughts on this guy, real quick, before we go to the next one? Dino?
Yeah. I didn't see that. So I'm just learning about it right now. I think the big thing is going to be what Ryan Williams comes back. If we're getting freshman Ryan Williams, then this could be a solid addition. If we're getting sophomore Ryan Williams,
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out.
I think this is their backup plan in case they don't know what Ryan Williams they're getting. I think he has potential for them to be wide receiver 1.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So, and if Ryan Williams wants to, do whatever Ryan Williams wants to do,
they should just stick Ryan Williams solely slot because they got Meadows and they got Rogers, both big boys who could play on the outside.
Dino, I think you're seeing what Grubb's trying to do here. Okay, homie, you don't want to play physical. You don't want to be on the outside. I'm going to give you the JSN role. We'll put you in the slot. We'll let you do all these. Don't drop the bag, homie.
Yeah,
I'm getting big boys on the outside. I'm letting Keelan Russell be able to go off script and run out of the pocket, and I'm gonna have these giants down there that can go up and get the ball. I think Grubb's building Alabama's. Granted, they're ranking like 50th in the portal right now, so they're not doing very well. But I think putting them all together with Keelan at the helm, watch out.
Yeah, right. I think those are outstanding points. Ryan Williams has to play a slot. I think he doesn't have a limited route tree, but you're not going to sit him on a slant. You can sit him on a crosser, but it's probably better off as a 12-yard crosser. He can run a deep dig because you're kind of on the outside and you're safer man in the middle.
It's 50-50 with him.
It's 50-50 depending where they throw it, but that kid is so scared to go across the middle. It's a man conversation he has to have. Whether it's with an OG on the team, a leader, a former wide receiver to make that next step.
Sit him with Austin Collie and be like, listen here, dude.
Yeah.
That's the wrong guy to have him sit with. That's the wrong guy. Isn't that guy like 6 times and have to leave the NFL?
He had a bunch of cases.
Yeah, you know what? That's the wrong, because that's Ryan Williams would be like, nah, bro, I'm good, bro. I'm chipping.
That's why he won't. And I think that's why he had a down year this year. He's so afraid to go across the middle.
All right, let's talk about another guy. We'll talk about Alabama. I kind of mentioned a bit. Isaiah Horton had a great year at Alabama. Kind of came out of nowhere, but I think he overachieved what people thought he was going to have there. I think everybody thought that his success would have been Ryan Williams' success, so they kind of vice versa. He's now at Texas A&M. I think he's wide receiver 1. He's about to fill in for Casey Concepcion. Now, Craver's still there, correct? He's got one more season. So
he's still there. Craver's still there.
Your Casey Concepcion you're going to have Horton fill that role. Will Horton see a little bit of running? Because I know I like to see KC like that. I think if he does that, that also will add to his repertoire, and NFL scouts will love that at the next level. So those are two wide receivers kind of wanted to touch on real quick. KT, DJ Lagway's committed to Baylor, okay? Which is crazy. But we kind of thought that they were a dark horse, right, to get him.
I seem to have this good luck Chuck thing where it don't work the first year I said, but the second year, like he'll say, Ole Miss. Like it's weird.
I'm not gonna say Florida didn't have talent because they had tons of talent, but he's there. What Dave Arnada is doing with this wide receiver room, they're bringing back Taz Williams. He did not hit the portal. We love Taz Williams, and I think he's gonna have success this year. They went out and got a kid from Kentucky that kind of went under the radar and Hardy Gilmore, 500 plus yards. He had 5+ touchdowns, like 40-something receptions. They went out and got Draylon Miller out of Colorado, who had a great season for the Buffaloes with 2 quarterbacks. It was 3 quarterbacks because Staub had played in 2 games. I think these 3 wide receivers in that room. Now, I don't know who's going to play tight end, and I know that Bryson Washington has transferred to Auburn now. So the running back room
that's
is kind
a good fit for him. And
that is a great fit. So him and Cobb together at Auburn is going to be a 1-2 punch. But that's what Auburn does. They've always had 2 guys in the pocket. What are your thoughts on this wide receiver room and DJ Lagway? Now, Sawyer Robertson had success at Baylor, right? Now, I know DJ Lagway is a different type of quarterback, but he doesn't have that big arm, but he can get the ball downfield. Sawyer Robertson was more of, methodical.
Yeah.
And
It's a simplified, more simplified system than what he ran in Gainesville as well.
Exactly.
Jake Spavital will find ways to get DJ Lagway comfortable. Sawyer Robertson, the only knock that a lot of fans had on him this year is that he wasn't as willing to run as much as he ran in 2024. DJ is. It's a simple system. A 66 in spread double flex is the same thing as a 66 in the spread. It's hitches on the outside. Then you got wheels, and then the halfback may run the same or angle or option route. Everything is so simplified. A 92 is a mesh. It's going to be a mesh in every system. Like, it's so easy. You got 93. You got 95, which is the Y cross. Everything is the same in this system. So it should be easy for DJ Lagway. Your progressions are always the same, whether it's outside routes, the inside routes. But everything is easy. If somebody's setting the high point for the mesh, you're going to that's your primary receiver. He's going to sit in the first hole. It's simple. As long as he stays out of his head and that accountability piece is there, because it got to be. Billy Napier did not hold that kid accountable. Let that kid in Baton Rouge throw 5 interceptions. I don't think I seen after the first, second, or third when he said anything to him. So to me, I think Baylor is a good fit. He just has to buy into the system and trust his eyes. And he just has to develop. The turnovers have to come down, though.
Okay, let's go on to this next topic here. We spoke about Deuce Knight, right? He's now over at Ole Miss. And Byrum Brown has come in from USF to fill in the Auburn QB1 role. Who would you rather have at Auburn right now, though? Is Byrum Brown a better quarterback right now than Deuce Knight? Is that who you would rather have, or would you rather have Deuce Knight right now? And if Byrum Brown proves himself in the SEC, are we now putting another guy in this loaded quarterback class for next season? Dino.
Man, I'm obviously going to pick Brown just because the stats, the experience is there right now. Granted, Deuce had an electric 1 game.
It was against Mercer.
It was, but 6 touchdowns for your first game is
agreed.
Pretty solid. The only reason I would maybe pick Deuce is because who is Brown going to throw the ball to? That would be my only reason that I would consider Deuce if he played. So, that's the big thing because Auburn lost a lot of pieces to the portal.
15 4 or 5-star talents. They lost their running back room. They lost their quarterback. They lost all 3 of their wide receivers, Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, and Cam Coleman. They lost 3 guys in the secondary, a linebacker, a defensive end. I don't even understand. The only teams that are probably worse than them are Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. Iowa State is depleted.
But, what the heck? And North Texas. I don't understand. I guess why Deuce was gone, but, so here's the thing. Here's my question. We've seen Alec Golish have success as a coordinator in the SEC. And we've seen him have success in the G5 as a head coach. Does Alex Golish's system work in the SEC?
Yes, 100%.
And so you believe that with Byrum Brown at the helm, that Auburn should have success this season, more so than they would with Deuce Knight in year
Yes,
one under Alex Golish.
1,000%. And the only thing is the player-led meetings, the player-led, like Byrum Brown knows the system. So when I talked to Zach Kitley, head coach at FAU over the summer at American Media Days, what he told me was having Caden Val Camp allowed him to go and hit the recruiting trail as much as he needed to hit the recruiting trail, because the first year it's mostly portal players. Why he taught people the system. You know what I'm saying? And then they got, what was the wide receiver they had, number 8?
Easton Mesner.
Easton Messer. So that, I think, is what Byrum Brown will help with most, being able to, knowing the system, him being able to help other people understand the system. I think that's the only reason I would say that. But I agree with D now. They need to get some more talent on the outside.
All right. Speaking of talent on the outside, Eric Singleton Jr., who was at Auburn last year, he's gone. He's in Florida now. John Summerall, we've seen in Tulane system we've seen last season. But someone who was with him 2 years ago, who got no playing time, has transferred to Florida and looks like he's going to be QB1, Aaron Philo. So what are your thoughts here? Was there something in the making there? Did he go to follow a guy that he had a little comfortability with?
Their offensive coordinators from Georgia Tech, isn't it?
It's correct. So
so
are we about to
see?
Read
the tea leaves.
Are we starting to see a little bit? We might see a little, GT 2.0 here in Florida in year one with Summerall at the helm.
Florida's a shark in the water year one, and that things are getting interested down there in Gainesville, and we know Summerall, we know his mantra, and they could be interesting. I think out of all of the first year coaches, we're looking at Auburn. When we looking at Arkansas, who also has a first year coach, all of them from the American, and then we look at Gainesville. Gainesville might be in the best position.
Arkansas keeps plugging away. I'm not.
They do.
They're surprising, man. I know.
And I like. I'm a Silverfield fan too.
Went and got his guys first, but now he's going out there outside of the box and getting guys. All right, one last guy before we talk about the big dog that committed to Texas. This is one I wanted to finish up with the portal poppers for. This is ridiculous. Okay, we talked about Hollywood Smothers committing to Alabama. And we're kind of seeing these guys committing to schools and then taking visits. Well, he did the same, and he left Alabama 3 days later and has committed to Texas Longhorns now. They have a loaded backfield after they had a no backfield, right? They had no guys. I think they signed three or four guys in the portal within the last couple of days. What are your thoughts here about this? Is this what we're going to see a lot of now because there's only one portal window? We're going to get a commitment, get what we feel good, and if it's not 100%, I'm going to go and shop around still, but I want to at least have a backup plan. Is that what we're looking at? Because they were talking about Hollywood Smothers as the mini Jahmyr Gibbs, and that lasted for all of 72 hours.
I don't like comparisons like that. That's crazy. I think this is just where we're at with college football. You got to make it right during this window because there is no late portal window. So, part of me think it was a scheme. I don't know why. I just believe it was a scheme. It's similar to D Wade pretending he was interested in going to Chicago Bulls when LeBron was there, so they didn't. And then he was able to get LeBron in Miami with him. I don't know. This is weird. This is we're at a weird place in college football. But I do think if Texas can get that offensive line together, you're looking at one hell of a room. You're looking.
They got some weapons, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Is this going to be something that well, they can't get anything right, but Charlie Baker and the committee are going to have to kind of figure out if they want to tighten up this portal, especially with the NIL. Like, look at Damon Williams, right? Like, why aren't we holding Hollywood Smothers to the same accountability that we're holding Damon Williams to, right? He signed a contract saying that he was going to return. I'm pretty sure that Hollywood Smothers was it just a verbal commitment? So now we can't take these kids at their word. So this is what I'm saying. This is kind of the same thing. I understand he signed a document, but these guys can't sign a document till what? Monday? What is it? Friday? What day is it? When is the portal close? Friday?
The 16th. Yeah.
So Thursday.
Friday. Yeah,
Friday.
Yeah.
So Friday it closes. So I love it. I'm just going by what these people, these bigger talking heads like to put it. As soon as you had Smothers in Alabama, it was he's the next Jimmy. No, he's not. But yeah. So are they going to have to figure something out here? Well, you can't even. They might have to stop commitments until the actual day of signing if they want to try to eliminate this.
That's not a bad idea. But it has to come from the coaches. The coaches want a one portal window, and that was the thing that they always agreeing on, and that's why they went to the one portal window. So
with everything we do, KT, there's kinks that got to get worked out.
Yeah, 100%.
We haven't seen anybody withdrawn from a school yet and go, but the portal hasn't closed yet, so that we haven't got that far.
Yeah,
this shit here, especially if Leavitt is the next guy to do it, commit to LSU and then 2 or 3 days later go
to Tennessee.
We got to figure out a way. Because, in a game of the portal, all you have is your word, right? So if your word and your verbal commitment is no good, a verbal commitment's accountable in court?
It's a non-contractual. I think where it gets interesting is that during this time of year, they aren't in school. So, that's the student part of it. So, school normally starts somewhere around the 23rd, 24th, 25th of January. That's when your spring semester starts. So, I think that's where the litigation
But they're in
gets
school.
a little bit weird.
They're just on vacation.
Yeah, right.
But legally, they're in school.
Not if he,
They're on break.
They're on break, but they're still a student. Yeah. They ain't re-enrolling after break.
Nah. Right now, I think all Hollywood Smothers did was get his transcripts ready. And so he's technically floating in thin air. I think that's the only part that legally it gets weird because they're technically, not enrolled at a university.
He was enrolled at Alabama.
Was he enrolled?
That's what I was under. That is what I've read through things. He is already enrolled in classes at Alabama.
Yeah, classes. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I think at that point, like you said, I don't have a problem if. So it's either one, you're going to have to wait to commit until you can sign, or you let them sign at any point during the window would be the other thing. But then at that point, schools need to take the page from Washington, I think, and make it more
legal binding contract.
Legal binding, yeah. Where if you're going to pull this flip-flop bullshit, then you're either going to buy your way out of your contract or it's not going to happen.
I'm with you 100%. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be something to fix this because this is the beginning. This is the first year because it's the first time we had one portal. What do you think is going to happen next year after we've already seen some kind of examples? It's only going to be more and more of it. So they have to nip it in the bud early. I think if you make them, when you commit, you sign that contract. Your NIL money, your deal is signed right there. You wake up the next morning, don't feel right. Sorry, homie. Now we have to have another contract. Go get your lawyer. My lawyer will sit at a table and talk about it. But it's not. I'm gonna go take a visit somewhere else because I just don't.
NBA guys do it all the time. They work their way out of their contracts. They get bought out of contracts.
Yeah, get bought out. Exactly.
It's a players' league, and that's why they're struggling to get viewership right now because it's a players' league, versus the NFL that's an owner league, and you see the product that they put out this past weekend. So
we said at the end of last season. Schools, ADs, coaches, the committee, they have to find a way to get the power back. They still haven't figured out how to get the power back.
He's working on Saturdays. That's how you get the money back. He's working game day. That's how you get it back.
Hey, they got to do what they got, but they're trying to figure out how to get the power back. And right now, the kids still could somehow, every single way they get their foot in the door, the kids just kind of kick it back out and start shutting the door a little bit more. So right now, the students are in control as of right now. But 100%. I don't know how much longer they can allow them to be in control before the Wild Wild West becomes uncontrollable. And then someone has to be the martyr. All right, before we close it out, the big dog, right? The biggest wide receiver in the portal. He's heard all kinds of rumors of where he was going to go. He landing at Texas, and we talked about how we think Parker Livingston was kind of pushed out of Texas because they wanted to make a run at Camp Coleman. Unfortunate for the young man, but this is no longer, how do I put this? leisure thing. It's not an after-school activity. This is a business now. People are getting paid for it, and they're going to want the best product. Not to say he wasn't a good ball player, but it's not what they wanted to put around their gemstone, their quarterback, their franchise guy in Arch Manning. So Cam Coleman commits. You look at a guy with almost 100 receptions over the past 2 seasons, 1,306 yards, 13 touchdowns, while playing with 4 to 5 different quarterbacks, Deuce Knight, Ashton Daniels, Jackson Arnold, and Peyton Thorne. Unfortunately, I just gagged to every single one of them. Deuce was good, but in that game, I think Deuce only threw for like 193 yards. Most of his production came on the ground. So he now pairs up with, which is absolutely insane, Ryan Wingo on the outside, who, gentlemen, was a major player in the recruitment of Cam Coleman. I kind of seen some of this floating on social media as well. As much as they used to say in New England that Bill Belichick plays chess to everybody else's checkers, Steve Sarkisian is playing chess to everybody in college football's checkers, because he put his golden boy on a platform for these last few games of the season, and we watched Arch Manning kind of come into his own against Michigan. Okay, this is what we thought we were going to get.
And
right?
Texas A&M. It's a scary season when he plays that well.
When he plays that well, and now you're going to put weapons like Cam Coleman and a Ryan Wingo on outside of him, and you're going to go get 3 running backs in that room that all are pass catches. Like you said, KT, if they boast that line just a little bit, watch out. You have a Batman and Robin.
You got Batman and a Superman.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, you got 2 guys who mesh well, who can both play on the outside. You can put Wingo in the slot if you really wanted to. Like, you can do whatever you really want to do. And I think everybody else left. Obviously, you saw Jamie French leave, knowing that the targets are just going to go. I saw this floating around, and this was huge, and I want to talk about it. We're starting to see these kids understand the value of the draft. Okay? Cam Coleman says, okay, I have 2 years of eligibility left, but I go to Texas. Thank you, Dino. I only need 1, and if I go here to play with the guy that's going to be 1, and I'm his ace in the hole, guess what? My stock's already good before I get to Texas. Now I'm going for possibly top 35 to now I'm working myself into a top 20 pick. Oh, guess what? The bottom of the NFL draft at 32, you're guaranteed $1.3 million. And then it only gets more and more. So now when you get to the 20s, you're looking at possibly $2.5 to $3 million and so forth and so on. Cam Coleman, the people around him and people in college football that are around these young athletes are understanding the whole strike when the iron is hot. It's not also about going to the NFL. It's putting yourself in a position to make more money or get drafted at a higher slot. And this is what we're seeing with Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman has the ability to be wide receiver 1 next year and be drafted in the top 5 behind Arch Manning out of Texas. And if they both have the success I think they can have to be in the top 5, everything I wanted 2 years ago is about to happen, and the Longhorns about to go to a natty. Because they have all the pieces on the back end. That defense is stout. Anthony Hill, guess what? He's about to – can you hear me still?
Yeah, we still hear you. You cooking, bro. Keep going.
Anthony Hill is a dude, bro. He's already on the back end. We know what he's going to be. He's still there. He's probably going to be a top 30 pick as well. They got a secondary that just flies around with ball hawks, and they always bring in 4- and 5-star edges that rush the ball well. They let Arch Manning figure it out. And we saw the culmination of 2025. Arch Manning figured it out against Michigan. I'm telling you right now, Cam Coleman, Shark, Arch, the Longhorns, they are doing something right now that most people aren't doing. And not only that playing with the money, but they're playing with the value of the money, and they're going to get their piece. Not all the pieces. I'm going to get my piece to put next to my guy. The Texas is going to be a problem in 2026.
Yeah. No, I'm with it. And I think there's a strong chance where we see potentially the top 4 draft picks in next year's draft playing in the national championship. And it's going to be, I think right now it's going to be Sayin, Arch, Jeremiah Smith, Cam Coleman, top 4.
That'd be crazy.
I think all year it's going to be a battle for QB1, QB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 between those gentlemen. So I 100% agree.
I'm going to take by both of you. Must see TV. That's all I have to say.
So Julian, see, this is the thing. Jeremiah Smith has Julian saying, right? What did Cam Coleman have?
No, yeah. No, I'm with you.
And we were both saying, all three of us have said that this kid has the same abilities that Jeremiah Smith has. He may not have the whole Hogan body, but he still has all the talent that Jeremiah Smith has. Bro, now you're going to be putting him with a top-tier quarterback in an offense that is going to fit his skill set. Oh, my God. Where it's not just me. Like, he had Malcolm Simmons and Eric Singleton. Cool, right? But I'm not just the focal point of this offense. I look around and anybody could be a problem. I might get one-on-one. I don't think he's seen one-on-one since he was Pee Wee League, dude.
That's a fact. And then the RPOs that Sark run, that's where it gets scary. He's going to get more targets and more receptions, arguably, than what he's done last 2 years combined because of the RPO that Sark's run.
Jackson Arnold rolled off platform. He was running for his life. When Arch Manning rolls off platform, you might be looking at a 40-yard dot downfield. You know what I'm saying? And if it's a contested catch, he has the ability to go up there and just moss anybody.
I think he's a better 50-50 guy than Jeremiah Smith for sure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Even with the body, the body structure.
Well, you know the frame. But I'm talking about going up and
snatching the ball. Okay.
Yeah.
So you believe that Cornell Tate has a better 50-50 ball than Jeremiah Smith then?
It depends on the game. I might say that it depends on the game. But yeah, the ability to high point though, I think is Cam Coleman's one of his greatest abilities. He makes some crazy. So does Jeremiah. I'm not taking anything away from Jeremiah, but Cam Coleman, that 50-50, that is going to help Arch Manning tremendously.
You're about to watch two kids battle for wide receiver 1 in 2026, and I'm here for it. I can't wait. But yeah, Sock gets one. There's a lot of studs on the O-line that are still available in this portal.
Yeah, especially the interior of that offensive line is weird. That the focus needs to be.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You need to go get a guy like Connor Liu from Auburn too at center.
We're seeing more and more guys entering the portal now, and it just there's only so much time left, but you'll see, especially once the playoffs over, right?
Oh yeah,
those guys
they get a little bit extra days too.
Yeah,
right.
Is it 30 that they get?
I don't know.
I think they get. 30. I think they have to be. I think it's 10 days after.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it's
I think
10
it's like 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we already saw a couple guys from Indiana already enter the portal. Their safeties entered the portal. I mean, so like and Oregon players are going left. Younger players are going left and right into the portal. So that you could see some dudes like there was some offensive linemen from Oregon entered that. Shit, Texas gets one of them guys. Watch out. You know what I mean? So it's the portal madness is crazy. But I'm kind of excited to do this mock draft coming up soon. But
that's gonna be dope.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that.
Hell of an episode, fellas. Shout out to the people in the chat. Over 100 viewers the whole show. This has been phenomenal.
Crazy. Yeah, that's dope.
KT,
I guess I'll take it home. As I always like to say, there's no more victories in the sport that's surviving the fans. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. Until next time, y'all take care. D9, what a hell of a show, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Today I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, a.k.a. downtown Nino Brown. Yes, sir.